Hello and welcome. uh, Hello and welcome back to today's reading. So I decided that Saturdays I will be reading a Draco X Harry fanfic, and then Tuesdays I will read Iida X Deku. I might do something on Monday. I might do Toto Deku on Mondays, cause. Yeah, so I might do a total deku on Monday. I don't know, but we will find out. But yeah, Tuesdays and Saturdays are for sure. Iida X Deku on Saturdays. Draco X Harry on... No. Oh my god. Iida X Deku are on Tuesdays. Draco X Harry are on Saturdays. Anyway, so today's story is called Swapped. It's a Draco X Harry love story. Are beautiful. I'm joking. I don't really know how they look, but credits to the author. I think that says I don't know how to read that author's name. I apologize. I will try the best. LC is what we'll call a beautiful author. This story is not mine. All credits go to this author. And yeah. So here we go. Chapter 1. Light, chit-chat, happiness. Those were the sounds that echoed through the great hall on the first day of school. It was Harry Potter's 8th year at Hogwarts, and he was extremely excited. No more Voldemort, no more Lucius, no more evil. To the untrained eye, Harry was a regular 18-year-old. He had good friends, a loving girlfriend, a good reputation, and a whole world of wizards and witches that looked up to him. But there was much more to Harry than that. If someone were to peel back the layers of Harry's skin to see who he really was inside, they would see someone completely different from the person who appeared on the front page of the Daily Prophet. Harry Potter was a broken, fragile boy who just craved love, and the love he deserved, the attention he needed so badly to survive. Sure, he had Hermione and Ron, but it wasn't the same now. They were dating. They tried to make it seem like they weren't a hugely lovey-dovey couple just so they could make Harry and Jenny feel less awkward about not being very physical. Sure, Harry had Jenny, but it just wasn't the same. Jenny loved Harry and Harry loved Jenny, but he needed more than that. Something more more special, something to make him feel whole, and to fill up the empty void that had lived in his heart for so long, something real. Harry. Hermione's voice came into his mental focus, and Harry lifted his head off the table to look at his friend. Yes, Hermione, he called drowsily, the dark circles under his eyes more prompt than ever. Seriously, Harry, have you gotten any sleep at all? You look like death. He shook his head with a tired look on his face, then rested his head back down in his arms. Jenny, who sat next to him, grabbed his hand under the table and squeezed it comfortingly. He lifted his hand, and they shared a loving smile. That didn't last very long, though. Headmaster McGonagall had taken the place. I'm sorry if I read that wrong. Had taken the place on the podium in front of the small group of unsorted first years. She cleared her throat to get all the kids' attention, then began explaining the sorting to all the first years, witches and wizards. It was just the same old first year introduction speech received each year by new students. The start of the term banquet will begin shortly, but before you take your seats at your tables, you will be sorted into your houses. Professor sorry, I can't. We'll call her MG. I'm so sorry, y'all. But that's so hard to say. If you can say it, or if you know how to say it, please let me know in the comments. Back to the story. Professor MG, and with that, the sorting ceremony commenced. The first years were ecstatic, jumping up to the podium with cheesy grins on their faces, smiling even wider when their house was announced, and running off to meet their friends at the table. The sorting ceremony was soon finished, and just on cue, dishes of food, platters of fruits, and jugs holding all kinds of magical liquids emerged on the tables. Harry wasn't so tired anymore. In fact, he was just as excited as everyone else. Food really does cheer someone up, after all. Everyone dug in. It was the best food they'd had since the last time they were at Hogwarts. Ron, with a mouthful of egg, was gazing around the room when his eyes widened. Suddenly he stopped chewing. His gaze made its way across the hallway to the Slytherin table, a confused look on his face. He mumbled discreetly, pointing over at the Slytherin table, but not so obvious. Whatever he was pointing at would notice. Chew, swallow, and then you can speak, Hermione scowled. Ron looked scared and did just that. Harry, Hermione, and Ginny all looked at Ron, concerned about what he was going to say. Well, hurry up about it. We don't have all day, Harry pushed. He was getting impatient. Okay, why is Malfoy sitting by himself at the Slytherin table? Ron coiled. Harry and Ginny turned around, and sure enough, there was Draco Malfoy, the ex-Death Eater, sitting all by himself at the end of the Slytherin table, looking down and picking at his fruit. Hermione pulled the two back around. You're being too obvious. Maybe he's just traumatized from last year, that he doesn't want to talk to anyone. He did have a rough last couple of years, and if he doesn't want to talk to anyone, he probably doesn't want people staring at him either. So turn around and eat your breakfast. Breakfast flew by quickly, without a single word between the four Gryffindors, and before they knew it, the headmaster MG was back up on the podium to make another announcement. So now that you've all eaten and gotten comfortable, I have a special announcement. Whispers of confusion walked around the room, trying to guess what the special announcement was. There will be an event taking place this year. However, the only grade taking place in this event will be the few students who came back this year for an 8th year. The event is as follows. One student from each house will be picked at random and placed into a different house. The students will stay in that house, the dormitory, where the house robes, sit at the house lunch table, hang out at the house common room, play sports for the house team if necessary, and basically live like they would if they were placed in that house. This will last a whole month. There was a silence. Then gasp arose from around the room as what she had just announced sunk in. MG continued. This is solely for the purpose of experiencing new things and better understanding your fellow peers. You must understand that whatever you do will representing another house will reflect on that house. By then, the whispers had formed into full sentences, and the great hall was bursting with noise. For the rest of the day, and even for the rest of the week, there were whispers and rumors and theories as why MG chose to do this. Who would be chosen, what the outcomes would be, how the Quidditch teams would survive, and a lot more. Harry and his friends just stared in silence about the topic, not bothering to think about it too much. The day went past in a blur. Lately, the night, Harry and Ron were lying in their beds chatting. Ron finally brought up the whole house swap situation, but Harry just dismissed it. I don't think any of us would be picked. There are like 1 in 50 chances I'll get picked. Even if I do get picked, it's probably no big deal. Ron nodded in agreement. The castle settled down. 3 weeks after the announcement. Attention all students. The lunch hall quieted down Quieted down at MG's request. It has come time to pick the students for the exchange that will be taking place in a week. The names will be selected from the box corresponding to your house colors. If your name is called, please make your way up to the front. The chosen students will then pick the house they get to stay in for a month out of a separate box. We will now commence. Ron turned to Harry and Hermione, a seemingly calm expression on his face. Despite his jittery, anxious behavior, what if one of us is picked? Well, have to spend a whole month in another house. That's like hell, depending on which one, of course. A few people from the other houses heard his remark, earning him a few glares. Settle down, everyone. I will now pick out the names. The Golden Trio and Jenny all turned towards the front of the hall, along with the rest of the school. 4 color-coded boxes appeared in front of MG. Each one represented a different house. They were floated in mid-air at just the right height that no one except Hagrid could see in. No, Hagrid, sorry. But that couldn't really be helped. Harry groaned, slightly nervous despite what he said a few weeks prior. Jenny sat next to him, trying to comfort him. Harry was tired, and he just couldn't deal with the stress of being in another house for a whole month. Harry dear, stop being overdramatic. There is 1 in 50 chance that you'll get picked. You'll be just fine, love. You'll see, Jenny cooed, and Ron just snickered at them. Headmaster MG cleared her throat to get everyone's attention. Let us begin, she somewhat bellowed, sending chills down the spines of everyone in the room. Okay, in Ravenclaw, we have Isobel MacDowell. The pure-blooded witch made her way to the front of the hall, a somewhat scared smile on her face. And in Hufflepuff, we have Kevin Entwistle. Harry wasn't paying attention. His fingers were fidgeting, and he was more worried about his own inner problems than some schoolhouse swap. In Slytherin, we have Pansy Parkinson. Pansy made her way to the front. The whole class of Gryffindor, 8 years, was tense, except for Harry, of course. And finally, Gryffindor. In Gryffindor, we have Harry Potter. There was a collective breath at the Gryffindor table, as if everyone was holding their breath to not be chosen. Harry, on the other hand, was very, very confused. He lifted his head up and eyebrows frowned and stared at MG in utter confusion. Come on, we don't have all day now, she commanded, motioning for him to join the others in the front of the room. With a nervous glance at his shocked look friends, Harry made his way over to the front of the Great Hall. Harry took his place on the right of Pansy Perkins, one of Draco's loyal followers, or should I say ex-followers. All of Draco's friends had either died or abandoned him after the war. And now you shall all pick which house you will be a part of for the whole month. Harry groaned inwardly at the remained as his sleek black box floated its way to the stage. The first person to select the slip was the Hufflepuff. On Pansy's left, Kevin Entwistle, a small brown-haired freckled boy, reached into the box, pulled out a slip of paper, and read it out loud. Ravenclaw, he said, clearly followed by small applauses from the rest of the school. The next person to choose was the Ravenclaw, to Harry's right, a strong but smart-looking yellow-haired girl. She did the same and read out what was on her paper. Gryffindor. There was another applause. Then it was Harry's turn to draw a paper from the black box. He was hesitant, but Harry reached his hand in the box reluctantly. His fingers danced around trying to find a measly slip of paper in the box. The paper he touched first was the one he was forced to take out, as if the box was enchanted. Harry pulled out the slip of paper and unfolded it. anticipation built up around the room as Harry stared into the little slip of paper. "Go on, Harry." "We don't have all day," MG pushed. Harry read the slip and raised his head, not looking at anything in particular. His eyes would just happen to lock into the familiar set of silver gray eyes. Slytherin. The first chapter is done. I will now read chapter 2, since I feel like I should start reading 2 chapters at a time, since this has quite a bit of chapters. So, Slytherin. The word echoed in Draco's head, his eyes still lost in Harry's jade green ones from meters away. He looked off to the side, a small snarl on his lips, and turned back at Harry's with a glare. But Harry wasn't there anymore. Harry was already off the stage and sitting at the Gryffindor table, complaining grumpily to his friends. Harry's back was towards Draco, so he couldn't see his face, but he could see the petty little redhead latched onto Harry's side, Wesley. Draco hated that chick, and as much as he tried to convince himself he only hated her because she was a Weasley, he knew there was another reason. Draco had a crush on Harry Potter, and she was in the way. He had a crush on Harry Potter that was if he got rejected, his mental state would be in shambles. So that's why he kept it a secret from the end of the second year all the way to the present. But in the end, doing nothing about his love and letting his fester in the depths of his own mind was the worst idea possible. And if anything, that just made his crush bigger. Anyways, Harry was straight. He had a girlfriend, and there was nothing Draco could do about it except get over it. Lunch was soon dismissed, and the students went about their own thing. It was a weekend after all. Draco decided to go for a walk around Hogwarts. The sun was bright, the flowers were blooming, yet there was a slight chill in the air. He let himself to wander absent-mindedly around the castle, lost in his own thoughts. Draco soon found himself in the courtyard. The grass was bright green, the trees were covered in leaves, and the students that littered the place had smiles spread over their faces. Draco leaned against a tree, eating a green apple, when his eyes caught the sight of a familiar brunette-haired boy with glasses and a lightning scar. Harry walked past Draco, not even noticing him stood there, and Draco decently tried to get Potter's attention. "You stink, Potter," Draco remarked, snarling aggressively at Harry and chucking away the core of his long-forgotten apple. Harry stopped and turned towards Draco, sighing deeply. Draco just smirked. "What do you want, Malfoy?" Draco moved towards Harry, getting closer and closer. Draco moved in, so close it was chilling, exhaling onto Harry's jawline and sending visible chills down his spine. Draco leant in so much his nose was almost touching Harry's neck, the neck he had so long dreamt about, littering with marks and love bites for everyone to see that Harry was his. Stop it, hormones, Draco thought, having to remind himself to calm down. Draco indulged in the scent of an old parchment, a new bottle of glossy black ink, and various sweet and savory spices. His face and dermis visibly softened from the addicting scent. All those different smells blurred together into a hypnotizing, unique scent, Harry said. It was like a drug, and Draco was addicted after just one measly sniff. "Malfoy, what the bloody hell are you doing?" Draco put on a disgusting face, pulling away from Harry and waving the air away from his nose, mockingly. "What cologne are you wearing? It reeks." "Shut up, Malfoy," Harry snarled dismissively and walked away, Draco watching him from afar with a hint of smirk on his face. There were only 3 days until the house swap was to commence, and Harry felt more jittery than usual. After that, Draco said Harry was determined to make himself smell like the best thing Draco had ever smelt. He asked Ron and Neville, and they both recommended the same cologne. The evening air in the courtyard was sweet and fresh, the scent of spring flowers wafting through the air. Harry marched loudly through the courtyard, loud enough to get Malfoy's attention. He stopped right in front of the blonde and determined looked enchanting jade green eyes. Draco looked down at Harry in confusion. "Smell me," Harry instructed, looking up at his rival threateningly. Though his thick, dark bangs, Draco was taken aback, to say the least. He was still trying to figure out what that meant when Harry spoke up. "You idiot, you're always saying I stink, right? Is this any better?" Harry demanded, cocking his head to the side so Draco would have easy access to his neck. The whole courtyard watched as Draco leant into Harry's neck and took a few sniffs before pulling back, his face scrunched up in fake disgust. "You smell even worse than last time. Where did you go to get the scent from? Wesselby?" Harry was fuming, and after a few seconds he burst. "Why would you even care what I smell like anyway? You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna smell so good you won't even believe your own nose." And with that, he stormed off, leaving Draco to wonder what Harry's plans were. The next day, 2 days before the swap. 2 a.m. "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good," Harry whispered, and with a flicker of his wand, the Moldar's map revealed its secrets. With a short observation of the map, Harry found the only person around the halls to be Fitch. And he was all the way down in the dungeons. All Harry had to do was sneak into the potions classroom. For the whole day, whenever Harry walked down the hallway or around a corner, heads would turn his way. Compliments would fly. Drooling girls and boys would follow him around, asking what cologne he was wearing, and "Oh, you smell so good. I just want to die." Harry didn't see Draco for the whole day, so in the evening he decided to go to the courtyard. As expected, Draco was leaning against the same tree as usual. When Draco noticed Harry from across the courtyard, he glanced up at him through his platinum locks and put on a playful smirk. "Smell me, and this time you have to like it." Draco looked slightly confused, but obliged. It was the same routine as usual, Draco leaning into Harry's neck and lingering a little too long to be considered completely straight. Then Draco pulled back with a face of disgust. What kind of game are you playing, Potter? You smell just like you usually do, no different," Draco exclaimed. "Gosh, they say you're the chosen one, but you're so damn draft," Draco mumbled to himself. Harry's eyes widened and his jaw dropped. He couldn't believe it. "Sorry, I think I heard you wrong. Did you say I smell exactly the same as usual?" He crawled and cogs in his brain, wired around the ticking into place. "Yes, I did. Did you expect me to have a different reaction or something?" Draco scoffed, but Harry didn't move. "Why are you just standing there, Potter? You look like a goldfish." Draco remarked, but Harry ignored him and ran back into the castle and all the way up to the Gryffindor common room. "Stupid Potter," Draco murmured to himself with a hint of amusement in his voice. Meanwhile, Harry was standing in the door of the Gryffindor common room after bursting in without warning. His face was glistening with sweat and he was panting from running all the way from the courtyard to the Gryffindor common room. "Harry Potter, why are you so out of breath?" a small Gryffindor girl asked him, catching the attention of the other Gryffindors in the room. Harry just ignored them and continued up to his room, where he found Ron and Hermione sitting on Ron's bed studying. When he finally noticed Harry, they were a bit taken aback by Harry's breathlessness. "Harry, where have you been, mate? And why are you panting like a dog?" Ron questioned. "It's Draco. This week he kept going on about how much I stink and I should get a new clone. But today I went up to him and asked him now how I smell, and he said I smelled like I usually do." Ron and Hermione's face were blank. Hermione spoke up. "Harry, I don't see your point. Why would it be weird that you smell normal?" Harry sighed, rubbing his temples. "Because I'm wearing an or tentia." know what? Yes, I will be reading chapter 3. And yes, to make this fair to that person who did request iida deku, I will do my best to read 3 chapters of iida deku. By the way, this was not planned to read 3 chapters, so yeah. Anyways, back on. Okay, like I said, this is not planned. Anyways, here we go, chapter 3. Amorte? Did you just say Amorte? Harry sighed. Yes, Hermione, Amorte. I snuck out earlier this morning and stole a bottle from the storage closet in the potions classroom. Stupid, I know. That's why there was a gag of drooling, googly-eyed students following me around the hallway all day. They were attracted by my scent. Ron just sat on his bed eating a treacle tart with a baffled expression, eyebrows knit together and a tight frown on his lips. Amorte, the bloody hell is that? He questioned, mouth full of treacle tart. For God's sakes, Ron, don't talk with your mouth full, Hermione scowled before continuing answering his query. We learned about Amorte in the 6th year, Ron. Do you ever pay attention? Hermione sighed, but continued. Amorte is the most powerful love potion in the world. It is deceived for its mother-of-pearl sheen, and steam rises from the potion in spirals. Amorte smells different to each person according to what attracts them. That means that if Draco seriously did smell Harry's scent when he smelled the Amorte, Hermione trailed off, and Ron almost screamed. Harry, on the other hand, was dumbfounded and refused to believe the obvious. Of course he doesn't like me. I don't even know if he's gay, and even if he is, I'm not, so what does it matter? Or maybe he's attracted to someone else that just smells a lot like me? Harry rambled on the fact that his rival for years was interested in him in the slightest. Now that I think about it, he's never really shown any interest in girls before. No, it's not possible. He just never shows his feelings. It's all. Harry shook the thoughts from his head, and for the rest of the day, he convinced himself that it was just nothing. The next day was spent prepping for the swap. The selected students were given new robes according to their house. They were put in. Their stuff was packed into suitcases, and they were sent to bed with worries of how the next few days would play out. And that's all for this chapter. So I guess you'll just have to come back to see how everything plays out. Sorry if my voice changed a few times, but aside from that, I hope you liked, and please remember I read this in my garage, so it's like kind of echoed. And yeah, I have to say that's it. I hope you did enjoy though, just because, I don't know. But I do hope you enjoyed, and sorry that this is a little longer than usual. Please remember I will be reading iida deku on Tuesday. And maybe I'll be reading Todo Deku on Monday, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet because some parts of the Todo Deku story I want to read are there are NSFW, but it's only for like 1 or 2 parts. Otherwise, the story is pretty nice. Or I don't know. Or maybe erase some. Like, I have no clue anymore. But please do decide. If I do read Monday, should I read a Todo Deku or erase a Mike? Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. So have a nice day, night, evening, whatever, to my gals, guys, and binary folks. See ya.